Why are home theatres rubbish and junk? Well, firstly, it goes back to dubbing stages. They're junk and rubbish. CES, AES, SMT, Dolby Labs, who and whatever else are involved with all this motion picture movie industry, with cinema industry. Even cinemas are rubbish. George Lucas is rubbish. Thomas and Holman is rubbish with his THX sound system. Oh no, I'm going to get flamed. Sensorround is rubbish. Universal Pictures are rubbish. Yep, I can keep on going and roasting this. Even music and musicians are, and all these music sound mixes that we hear on, be whether it, how it's reproduced for a loudspeaker, is rubbish because there isn't proper psychoacoustics put in place. It takes quite a lot, you know. I mean, if you play a musical instrument, you're holding it, a guitar, a violin, maybe a cello, and you're going to feel its resonant frequency. You can feel it against you, depending on how you're holding it or how it's leaning against you. A piano, maybe it depends, depends on when the hands are on the piano and you feel vibration going back through the hands, or maybe if you got your feet on the pedal, any pedals or such. But generally, a lot of movie soundtracks are absolutely, particularly all this Atmos rubbish, but with the marketing, Dolby Labs, feel every dimension. Well, wow, they're just trying to make out like, oh wow, Atmos is something new. Actually, it's a bit old now and a bit outdated because it's almost getting on 15 years. Yeah, well, that's just marketing, just to so you pull in customers and such. But otherwise, we've been going to a cinema and we've been occasionally feeling little portions of the soundtrack and think, you go at home and back, oh gosh, maybe back in the 70s, or maybe, yeah, the 70s, 80s, or such, early 80s and such, very few may have rigged up a VHS player to a hi-fi system and such, and so you get a little bit better sound, bass level. You feel it because you don't get too much of that feel through some of the typical TVs, the CRTs, many decades ago. But no, the answer is no. You shouldn't feel certain sounds on these rubbish movie soundtrack. I shouldn't even be. Though I can, but to me now it's getting a little boring because that is just not how it works in reality. And a lot of you out there thinking, "Oh gosh, he's flaming." No, I couldn't care less. RTJ, or is it JTR, or whatever they call those overrated subs? They're a load of rubbish. How much are they a piece? They're like 4 or 5 grand each. You got that guy with 20 subs in a room and he wants to play 150. That's not what you hear in reality. You don't hear anything like that. And mostly some of the sound that you might feel, and if you feel it in your chest, well, that's a load of bullshit. A lot of people don't understand how the skeleton and how all the body sensors work. Clearly a lot of you have been hanging around on shitty, rubbish AVS forum sites, and, to a lot of Americans and that, and some British, you know what it is, or some Europeans, you know what it is? Shall I tell you? It's a sadism called ego. Oh, it's got to be 120 dB. It's got to be 150 in my basement. Sign this waiver, and I'll bust your ears out. You go around reality on a daily day basis. You say standing in the on the pavement, road traffic very busy. You only hear the sound. An aeroplane takes off, a jet airline. Now that's got pulling a lot of thrust. It's a little bit different to say the thrust, say, like on a maybe a rocket, or maybe a Vulcan bomber. Live long and prosper. You know, the Vulcan bomber. That's retired aircraft now. I actually heard that damn thing, and when I was standing on the beach several years ago at the Bournemouth Air Show, and the thing was coming along the shoreline pretty close, and then this was near to Bournemouth Pier, and then suddenly it turns, rolls, and then goes onto a vertical incline. Yes, standing on the sand, yes, I felt the thrust a little bit in my chest because it's pushing so much air and the air particles are getting disturbed. And you know what it sounded like? It sounded like that crackle, that raw crackle sound that I've heard on archival footage of Saturn V rockets taking off. It had that raw crackle sound. Um, and that, if I had my SBL meter with me, I would have been impressed with the SBL reading. If I had maybe my Spectrum Lab laptop with me and get a recording on the actual frequency response, I would have been impressed. So otherwise, it's just guesswork of what I was actually hearing to what I was feeling. But generally after that stops and goes away, and any other airplane that flies around, no, you just generally hear the sound. Um, there's if and buts to what you can hear, feel in reality. Um, also several years ago, I think this because the Bournemouth Air Show is usually on and off every year. Um, was it the Lancaster Bomber? I think it was, which is a four prop aeroplane. It goes very slow. That was coming on a north to southerly direction. So basically, the airport's over there that way. That way is north, and behind me is south. And this thing came pretty close. It came literally, boom, right over. I was thinking, what the heck is that sound outside? I could just feel something because of the air, the way the props, propellers on that aircraft, and the altitude it was, and the frequency it was producing. And I was feeling a mild vibration because the sound waves travel and then they impact onto the building's roof. The roof is made of tiles down to wood beams, and that connects to the bricks. Thus, you feel something. Very rarely do I feel something, because of sound waves and how sound waves work. And this thing just went past. I thought, wow, fuck off, I feel that, and it was brief for a few seconds when it increased and then went past, heading down behind me, and then probably might have turned a little bit and then did a little performance down near the beach, which is about 1.6 mile away from me. Occasionally, very rarely, do I feel the rotor blade of a Chinook. But that's only because the sound waves are propagating out through the air and they're impacting against the roofs, or if you put your hand on the window, or maybe a wall or something, depending on what the wall structure is made of, or the wooden floor, you might feel a little bit more such vibration. But you step outside, no, you don't. Unless, of course, you're holding a large piece of cardboard or styrofoam against your chest, or you put your hand against a car window or any other window which is acting like a diaphragm, and then you feel the vibrations. But on a daily day basis, no, we don't feel that sound pressing. And stupid movies like that Atmos crap rubbish, Ford vs Ferrari, that is a waste of fucking time. I don't know why I bought that rubbish, because it won a best sound, and you know what? It was the worst sound I heard. It didn't sound or feel anything like being inside a car. I've been inside cars. I'm not a twit. I'm not stupid. I know how cars sounds, vibrations, and all that work. And it was a complete waste of time when they that stupid scene where he does the with the Matt Damon, bloody overrated acting, and he got that other guy in the car and he spins the car around and then stops it, and then you hear the rear, or you think you hear the rear of the tires going, but you know what? Why am I hearing that screech up at this angle where the speakers are? That makes no sense. They should be a little bit more below me and probably a little bit muffled in the frequency, because you're on the inside of the vehicle. You're not on the outside where you would hear the screech a bit louder, and on the inside it would be a little bit the opposite. Plus, actual motion vibration, because the vehicle is on suspension, and you would feel, you know, it's like if I saw a screen capture of someone showing the so what do you prefer, media, laserdisc, blah blah blah, or streaming, and he's got a picture of the Empire Strikes Back on the laserdisc in the background. And I remember there's a scene, or such a few in the movie, where you see the snow speeder in on the interior, and you see this shaking vibration sort of effect. But is it on the actual film mix? And would it be reproduced accurately with psychoacoustics? So you get other sounds that you're feeling mechanically all around you, because the sound or the engine noise or such will resonate through the framework of the vehicle. That's how sound works. That's a lot of There's a lot of you out there that just don't understand how all this bullshit mixing on dubbing stages to, because Dolby Labs, they're only given a little bit. They're not giving you the full Monty. Now, there's someone out there probably right now working on a system to put Dolby Labs out of commission, put them out of business, and come out with something a lot better, probably cheaper, and being fair and honest, and say, hey, this is what you've been waiting for. Well, this is about as near as we can still get. It will be an approximation. You can't do the actual real thing. It's not like someone in a movie soundtrack comes up and touches someone, and you think, oh, why can't I feel that? They just went up and touched the actor, you know? Unless you start going stupid overboard and start sticking little bass sensors all over your body so you feel the bloody soundtrack. Oh, for Christ. Get a life, everybody. Please get a life. I'm thinking, right, for now, I'm just going to play it a little bit less, because there's no point. I've been there, I've done that. It's boring. Bass shakers, they don't even do it right, because you get you get too many other sound effects and music going through those bass shakers, and it's not even accurate reproduction of psychoacoustics. It's interesting. It's like, oh wow, but all those tracks have to be properly reproduced through special system that has to be on Dub stages, they have to be completely ripped down, demolished, and rebuilt from scratch. Same with cinemas, and well, I wouldn't say strip down and demolish your home, but the entire system in the room needs to be thrown out into the skip, and you need to start from scratch with the new whatever system that ever comes around, because it takes a lot, but it's never going to be 100% as close to reality, because all you can get at the end of the day is just an approximation, and an approximation for me now, it just doesn't cut the mustard anymore. It's just boring. You know, all these stupid subs, SVS subs. You know why people? I was watching one video on YouTube. One person's had an SVS sub. He's got two of them, I think, in his room, the same. One of them broken, probably because where it was placed in the room, and because of his ego, he had it turned up too much and he damaged the sub. And it's making this kind of rattling sound because it's no doubt the amplifier's gone fucking knackered, and it can't reproduce a proper, even say if you put a sine wave tone of say 30 hertz in it, it'll make a weird noise because the amplifier's fucked, or at least a few components on the amplifier are fucked because they got overloaded because of people's home theater sad ego. Oh, it's got to be this dB level, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. Infrasonic frequencies, oh please. Most people, if you filtered off all the sub bass at 48 dB at 20 hertz, if you filtered it up, put a 48 dB at 20 hertz, and then just see what you can hear, see what you can feel, and it's going to be rather disappointing. You know, it's not going to be totally uniform. It's not like, say, when you stand up and start walking around, you put earplugs in your ear, yeah, and then you start walking around, what you hear, thump, thump, thump. And you're going to take those earplugs out because you think that sounds fucking annoying. Oh, and yet you like stupid movies like Jurassic Park with a stupid T Rex, or stupid King Kong, or some stupid Godzilla, and you like other stupid rubbish where it's going thump, thump, thump footsteps. Bullshit. You don't feel that shit in reality. Bullshit. Well, you hear it, but you don't bloody feel it. Unless it's a fucking meteor of a certain size of metal, iron, rock fucking slamming into the ground at 30,000 mile an hour, and you fucking feel that. Oh, please. Yeah, even stupid asteroid movies like okay, now do they get sound effects though? And all these stupid movies where it's got a space shuttle launch. Oh fucking hell, we've all seen videos now, haven't we? Where you know where the seats vibrate at a certain point when the main engines fire up, and then you see a slight vibration, and the seats don't go rocking around sides; they kind of bob forward and backwards, and then and then you notice when the SRB, you notice for a brief sec, and it's only a brief second, and then those hold down arms release, and then that thing starts moving. And then you notice the vibration sort of thing on the seat starts to change a little different. And that, don't forget, that takes a fucking lot of energy to get that huge bulk off the bloody ground. If you watch a video where it shows even the acoustical power of the when the shuttle clears the white room, or the launch arm thing that moves into place so that they climb into the shuttle. There's a camera inside, and you see that bloody arcing. Now, I'll tell you, I'll just post a video of it here. I'll tell you. You see that bloody thing shaking because there's that, you know. Generally, that thing's not gonna shake around until something starts bloody moving on the outside. Oh, but you can tell, you just watch, and you can see that when the main engines on that shuttle fire up, phew, there's a lot of energy on those main engines. Um, but you can't reproduce that at home because everything else that you're going to play through those rubbish little sub bass speakers you got, you're going to get music coming through it or whatever, and that's going to sound and feel inaccurate. I mean, it's okay, I think, if you just play it at a milder level, so it just, plus you're giving your ears a bit of a break, you know. But you could go and run that, and you go and grab the DVD or the Blu-ray or the Laserdisc of Speed or that crappy UHD of Speed 1994. Go and grab that, put it on. I bet most of you probably haven't even been on a bus in a few years. You probably drive a car. And you haven't been on a bus in several years, so you wouldn't have a clue what you're listening to. I've been in a car, I've been on a bus, and I know exactly how they sound and feel. And do you go on that? You go for a movie ride on that stupid movie Speed? That's not going to sound anything like psychoacoustic of being on a bus or even the feel of it, because you got stupid other sound effects going on with it, and it doesn't sound accurate. It just sounds like, oh, let's give it an Academy Award now for rubbish sound mixing. Because that's what it was. Back then, I used to like it. I'm just a lot cynical about sound and all this bullshit. It's just getting boring. Oh, mm, even sitting on the bed and moving, I feel it. If I saw someone doing that in a movie, I'd think, I hear it, but I can't feel it because there's a lot of other things to take into account. Things where you could be like a point of view, or you seem coupled with whatever's going on in the movie, and then sometimes you're decoupled from it, and then you only hear it. Oh, and a lot of music out there. What a load of rubbish! You cranking it up, you turn the gain levels up. What a load of rubbish! I can hear in some of these mixes that it's been processed a little bit, enhanced, and all that, and you feel all the, say, like play Max Richter in the Four Seasons. I think it's the summer one. You got all the string movement going. And yeah, I got it turned up at a level, and I'm feeling the strings, but that is not how it's supposed to be. Because if I was standing in front of that performance, I would only hear it. I wouldn't feel it, unless, of course, I went up to a musician while they're still playing. You still play, just keep playing, and I'm going to put my hand on your shoulder. And then I start feeling some vibration transmitting through me. Take my hand away, I decouple. I don't feel it. I still hear it, but I don't feel it. There's a lot of you out there with your rubbish home theatres. You clearly got a lot more education to understand how sound works and how your rooms. I like to deconstruct my room and do start from scratch, but it's a small room, and if I do that, I'm going to lose a lot of headroom in the room. Oh, and that Matthew Poe's guy, oh god, he's an acoustic. He makes this, he does that, but he hasn't got any other special system or unique thing in his room. It just goes on about the ego of the stupid subs that cost so much flipping thousands, and but I bet most of it's like I say, you only hear that much from the sub. depending on standing waves, but you only feel maybe about that much percentage. Oh, what a waste. You add a bass shaker to the seating or the flooring, the wooden flooring, and then it kind of feels like that. It goes up. And then you think, well, I only need to turn that sub bass down a little bit because what's the point of wasting all the watts? You're chasing something and you're for your ego and you're only getting a tiny percentage. It's like the where is it? I don't know. Oh yeah, there it is. It's over there. Oh, ooh. If I can get this thing synchronized with my laptop, because I can't get it to synchronize it. I don't think it's broken. I think it's it's still got some battery in it, but yeah, even when I hear that sound, I feel it in my hand. Of course I do, because my hand is coupled with the device. If I uh, um, I could when this used to work, I'm pretty sure there's a synchronization issue with it. So I could stretch a piece of fabric from the bed sheet, and then place that on there. And guess what? Sound transmission goes through it, and I can feel it because it's transmitting through the fabric. And that's just fabric. It's not wood or metal, it's just fabric. But only certain frequencies or such, and then some frequencies won't, depending on the size and the device. But yeah, it's like that song. He's got the whole power in his hand. He's got the whole power in his. He's got the whole world in his hand. Probably don't know that song because you're probably kiddies out there. You're too damn young to even understand that song. Oh dear. It's like I feel the weight and the bass of this can. It's like, oh yeah, it's like it's got bass in it because it's got weight and mass, and I can feel it in my hand. But if I saw it in a movie, I'd think I can't feel it, even though I held a can or held an object, and I know what it feels like. All those stupid John Wick movies, gunshots. Oh, they're so bullshit and exaggerated. Oh, that's why I threw those movies in the cat litter. I can't stand them. Load of rubbish. And plus, I don't like it because it's mostly for home theatre people with violence and ego and all this sort of thing. I just got fed up with it. Star Wars movies with lightsabers and all that. Load of bloody rubbish. Because you see how they're holding the damn thing. And then sometimes you're feeling all this boom, boom with my bloody bass and the bloody LFE. And you can see the scene. I can clearly see it and think, I would only hear that. I wouldn't feel it. Unless it was like it showed like a point of view and the saber going in at the other component. And you feel a certain impact. And then when it comes away, you hear it. But most people will probably think, what's going on with the sound mix? What's going on? Why is it doing that? They just don't understand that they do it themselves every damn day on a daily basis and they completely forget because they're stupid. I I used to be fucking stupid. It took fucking years, it's taken me fucking decades to fucking understand this. And now it's just fucking boring. It's like fucking hell, that stupid movie Earthquake, that crap. If they fitted maybe if bass shakers, transducers existed around then, they could have used those instead of trying to turn up bloody levels just to bloody resonate the bloody auditoriums that are all going to be sound completely different in their vibration, airborne and such. But it's the airborne noise that's just going to do eventual damage to your hearing. Battlestar Galactica and all that boom, boom, in bloody in a fucking vacuum. Are you kidding me? There's no fucking. There's nothing there for fucking sound and move. All those Star Wars movies here and a bloody Star Destroyer going. Oh, what a load of rubbish. There isn't a system that presently exists. If it did, it'd already be in the fucking. It would already be in the home because it's done it. It's gone from the dub set. It's gone to the cinema, and it would be in the bloody home. Maybe a watered down version, not the full Monty. It's like Atmos. The dub stage is either doing the full Monty to the cinema, but the home, it's not getting the full Monty. Bit of a raw deal if you ask me. It's like buying a Coca Cola that goes to the dub stage, that a Coca Cola that's on the dub stage to the cinema, and then the version that you get for the home is the Diet Coke. It's watered down. They just put a little sweeter and bullshit near field on it just to bullshit the public. Sad, really. This is why some people don't give a shit about movies. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in collecting movies. It shows on TV. I'll watch it once and there. So what? Even watching stupid fucking movies like Jaws. You can see they're on the boat and the boat's kind of bobbing up and down, sort of thing. Does my room bob up and down? Does it feel like I'm on the boat? No. And when the camera is away from it and it's floating above the water, you just see the waves moving, the boat moving up and down through the waves and such. You shouldn't feel it because the camera is not, say, like halfway between underwater and the surface. So you see, you've seen those camera angles where the water goes up a little bit and it comes down again. You would feel emotion. Plus, you would feel emotion underneath the water because of the current, and you would feel this motion flowing around, and it feels like, well, it's pressing against your body. Yeah, you clearly all out there, with your rubbish home foods. You clearly got a lot more to understand how it works. Because turning it up and all that, I think I've done that a few times. You know what? I feel sinful. I feel shameless that I'm showing it off. Something's showing off that that's you know it's like the stupid Raiders of the Lost Ark. As stupid, that movie. Where all the wing, the flying wing, and the fight scene, and all those punches. They sound like cannon blasts. That doesn't sound like the real thing. And they kind of give me a little kind of jolt or shock because I don't like that shit, and it just scares me. And so it's scared, and I kind of react and kind of go like that in the seat because the sound wave hitting me. Um, because that's not how it works in reality. You would only hear someone having a fight, but you wouldn't feel it. Not unless, of course, you want to get involved and get punched in the face. Um, so that's a load of crap. That's a load of crap. When you see stupid Die Hard where they're having that fight, and then he wraps the guy with wraps a bloody chain and throws him into a bloody wall. The camera is away from the wall, you know, It's meters away, and yet you hear this thump and you feel it. What? You would only hear it in reality. You wouldn't feel it. And when the roof blows up and all that shit, bloody hell, you would only maybe feel just a brief moment or such of it, depending on where and how you would. And then the other parts where it's inside the helicopter, you would feel a mechanical vibration plus some sort of rocking motion because the airwave coming from the fireball of the explosion is making the helicopter go spinning around a little bit off course until eventually it crashes and goes up in flames, and then goes kabut. There's certain things that you would feel and certain things you would only hear. It's like that stupid tank movie, the stupid Fury, stupid Brad Pitt load of rubbish, and the sound mixer on it's a load of rubbish. Doesn't That is a load of road. Doesn't sound feel like I'm inside a tank to me, just a load of rubbish. Clearly, all these, you go on something like these simulators they have down at theme parks, and they're just working on hydraulics, and they can only do so much. They can't do a full loop unless you go on a roller coaster and it does a full loop. And you feel because the vehicle's moving, it's on a track, and you're feeling vibration going through the car, and then you feel air pushing against you because it's going fast, and you feel a rush of air going against your face, just as if you would open the window on a car and stick your head out, and you feel a rush of air pushing into your face. Oh, God. Load of rubbish. You can have 20 subs in a room, but can they reproduce accurately? Not turning it up for some stupid competition. I think if there's going to be a competition, then the competition should be getting psychoacoustics done correctly. I bumped into someone at a music and technology college years ago, 20 years ago, and he was one of many few tutors, and he was rambling about how movie soundtracks are crap. They just don't sound right. They just haven't got the accuracy. And he gave me a few examples, which I agreed with because I've been there. I've heard these, from Sensorround to fucking THX. I've heard that, felt that, but it's not accurate. It seemed exciting back then because I was a little bit younger. As you get a little bit older, you get a little bit wiser, and you realise, why the fuck have I been wasting fucking decades with this crap? Why don't I just take a step back away from it a little bit and just wait for someone to come along and just put Dolby Labs in the dust, because I think they've had their day. And DTS, well, they're just a load of fucking rubbish. IMAX, load of fucking rubbish. They can't even fucking do psychoacoustics right. It's just a load of fucking bullshit exaggeration. Otherwise, you might as well just go out and, or just take note of the real thing and think, wow, you know, I think just the speakers on the OLED should suffice. A soundbar, nah, fucking sound. Well, maybe a crappy soundbar. Maybe some Bose speakers. Mm. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I don't have to ramble on about anything fuck much else. Stop the video here, more or less, because, yeah, go and play with your sadism home theatre, is all I can say. And I'll go and play with my sadism home theatre, home cinema, because you think I'm trolling, don't you? No, I'm quite serious. I'm quite serious about this. Because it is fucking boring. So that's all people, if we all talk about, oh, everyone's got the same fucking disc, right? Okay, I'll just use a crappy example of a crappy overrated fucking movie, Maverick, Top Gun, part fucking two, whatever. Yeah, we all got that fucking disc, and it's like, do we feel the exact same? Does everyone say and report, I feel it more or less, but where exactly are you feeling it? You shouldn't feel it pressing against your chest or anything like that. Because if a fucking airplane was, it's going to be brief for a moment where you might feel some engine noise because of the thrust, but the air, when you see that stupid scene where it comes that way and it blows the bloody roof off of a little hut, you know, um, does that do that in the room? Of course it doesn't. Unless, of course, you want your home disc deconstructed and fucking ruined, you know? Otherwise, you're talking a lot of fucking air pressure. And it's, can it do that? No. Can a crappy movie like Twister make it seem like you really got a fucking air moving around that's circling and going up, coming from below you and then and diagonal and all that? Does the wind do that? No. So your sub bass is crap. Your LFE, your 20 subs, your 30, your 50 subs are crap. It's not doing any of that because you're just putting the same crap signal into those subs and they're just doing the same crap signal all the time. There's nothing different or unique. Well, that's because you start putting wind fans all over the fucking room. And then those fucking things just sound audibly noisy when it takes several seconds for the air from switching on for the air to reach. It's not like actual nature itself. That cannot be fooled. Mm, yeah. And even these dubbing mixers, they hang around on AVS forum. Mark Fishman, I think it is, and he hangs around on bloody Audio Science Review as sound mixer. Oh, I sussed that guy out. I really did. He didn't want to say who his name was about was it a year or so ago, and he was so snotty and snobby, you know. But I remember reading one of his posts on AVS and saying he's got a thick skin and all this bullshit. Basically, he's just going around just so that he can probably I don't know what he's chasing. Maybe he's chasing AVS members or so. Maybe to be academy voters or whatever. So hey, give me a vote so I can win an Academy Award. I think the guy's got some sort of sadism of ego, really, and he's mixing his crap. Um, yeah, especially on that Fury movie. Yeah, I sussed him out about a couple of weeks ago on Audio Science Review when he's giving someone else a load of hassle because someone else is asking about 5.1 or this and that. And this guy just starting to give a load of hassle. And I thought, crying out loud, I PM'd the guy and say, look, it's Mark Fishman, film mixer on AVS forum. And he says, right, I know who you're talking about. I don't like that guy. He said, um, because he does seem like, he's just one of these rich kind of people in the Hollywood, Los Angeles mixers, and the guy's just got an ego issue. Yeah, so if you see anyone on AVS film mixer, he's a and sound mixer on bloody audio science review. Oh god, honestly, I wonder how many other sound mixers are going around with handles. They're not saying who they are. Why? Whoa. Are they ashamed of what they're mixing? Are they ashamed of their IMDb status? You got other people that's, say who they are, so you know who you're talking to. I like to know who I'm talking to, not some faceless, hiding behind their computer, because they want to be accurate and so there's another one on Audio Science Review I can't stand. Bloody calls himself Matt Hooper. Bloody name from bloody Jaws. But I don't know who the guy is. Obviously, he's not proud of he's not proud of himself, so he hides under a username. I can't stand at Audio Science Review most of the time because of most of the people on there just hiding under an anonymous name, and they're just too scared to come and say who they are because everybody wants to be accurate, and but and it's just trying to sell shit on Audio Science Review. All these stupid brands of speakers. They just look like all these speakers look like all glossy and nice. They look like prostitutes with bloody over the top makeup on it. It's all dressed up with tarty makeup, but it's got no sound where to go with the damn thing because the sound reproduction is from these or maybe producing because they're not proper speakers that you would see like behind a dub stage to a cinema or PA type that are a little bit more brute in their dynamic range. But like I say again, I shouldn't be I shouldn't be feeling a lot of that. I should be hearing it. There's only certain things that and you can't get a loudspeaker to really accurately make you feel like, oh yeah, that even though I have, but it's not accurate because it's exaggerated. It's hitting me in the chest, and that's totally wrong. There's only certain things like I'm looking at a scene like, you're not going to get a body punch face in the, stupid fucking Indiana fucking Jones movie hitting you in the fucking face. That's like putting a fucking mechanical fucking arm in front of the fucking cinema seat, and every now and then they're doing the punches. The fucking thing. By the fucking time you leave the fucking movie cinema, you're going to be fucking battered. They'd be taking you out on a fucking stretcher, putting you on the fucking meat wagon. Oh, oh dear. Fucking movies are fucking rubbish. Well, dubbing stages are a load of fucking rubbish. I've never been on a dub, but I think I got a pretty damn because that's what you hear on the fucking cinema now, isn't it? So that's what you should hear on a dubbing stage now, is it? Mm, yeah, well, it's a load of rubbish. You go play all your rubbish movies now. Grab whatever overrated Blu-ray disc you bought this fucking week and go and play it. And then think take note of the visual image, the continuity, and make sure you're fucking observing. Um, you look at the environment or what's in that scene. Maybe play a scene that's got a car in it, a car scene. Does it sound and feel like it's inside a car with all this crappy atmos? Overrated crap, atmos overrated shit. Does it sound and feel like it's like inside a car? I would listen bloody carefully. You're in for a big disappointment. Go and play some shitty movie like Armageddon. Does it feel like you're on a space shuttle on the interior scene, not on the exterior? Because on the exterior, you probably feel just a little bit, but mm, you can turn the gain levels up, until you break your fucking speakers because your little home theater speakers can't handle those dynamic ranges. Mind you, it is a little bit of a near field mix. Probably go get the laser disc; it'll be a little bit different, but it's still inaccurate. You got all that fucking music fucking going, that rubbish fucking music going on with the fucking scene. God. And you see the camera shaking and all like that when it's on the interior of the shuttle. I think a little bit too much of that is a bit of exaggeration, unless, of course, you look at all the archival footage of space shuttle launches on the flight deck, and you only see a certain, because there's a camera that's obviously fixed to the flight deck. It's not floating in between, where it would have less vibration. But when it's attached to something and then something moves, it's going to give a slight, vibration, and that's just the camera. But do you actually see it in your vision? To make your eye vision kind of like go like this, it takes a certain frequency between 20 and 90 hertz for that to give you blurred vision. And it's only where how your skeleton or your spine and your head is resting against maybe a seat, and you'd get a vibration or such, and it will blur your vision. Or you can produce a sound with your mouth, and it would create what's called an in-head cavity vibration, and it just makes your vision blur. Like, I'll keep my glasses. Just doing that sound, and my vision just gets a brief kind of vibration. It's called in-head cavity vibration. And you could put a bass shaker on the back of your seat, yeah, and then rest your head against it. Put a sine wave tone through it, starting around 20 up to 90 hertz somewhere, and depending on how it's coupled to the seat, and it doesn't make too much resonant noises, and it can produce quite a bit of forward backward motion on the transducer, and then you may then suddenly notice, oh gosh, your vision blurring at one of those between 20 and 90 hertz. But move your head away from it slightly, you decouple. So you might as well stick a bass shaker on your head. It's not impossible. I wouldn't recommend it because you don't know what fucking damage it's going to do. Only someone stupid would do that. I've done little tests, and I could say, even when you put a bass shaker pressing against your nose and playing certain sine waves, it feels like someone coming up and boom, punching you in the nose. It feels very unnerving, and yeah. See, I've done tests like that. That's the sort of tests that NASA do. They would do fucking tests like shoving maybe a pen with a bass shaker fitted in it up your ass. Believe me or not, they've done weird shit just so that they can see what it might be, what the environment of the unknown of outer space, because it's unknown. Ooh, I'm just trying to have a little rant in any case. I'm just trying to educate all of you out there to make you a little bit more aware that What you're watching on these movies is a lot of bullshit, especially when it's Hollywood. Oh, you go on theme park rides and all that, they are what they are. Go in a car, you feel the vibration. Go on a bus, you feel a lot of vibration. Go on a coach, it's a little different vibration because it's designed a little bit more for comfort. A bus is only to get you quickly from A to B. It's not designed for comfort. Otherwise, the engine noise on it would be a little bit quieter, especially when it comes to bus stops. Otherwise, the engine typically idles around 35 hertz. And it depends on the type of bus. Is it a single or double decker? How knackered is the engine? Has it been tuned? Because I've been on one bus where it did make my vision blur. That was a double decker bus, but the engine was so poorly out of tune. Every time it come to a bus stop, it was incredibly loud. Normally they're about that sort of loud, but this one was like that, and it was just waiting on a bus, for people to get on, and then the bus start moving again. And eventually I got so fucking sick of it, I had to get off of it and just wait for the next bus to come along because I had at least 30 minutes to go to my destination. I just couldn't tolerate it, not even with earplugs. It was too fucking loud. That should have been in the shop getting its engine tuned because I don't know how anyone else could put up with it on that fucking bus. Fucking hell. You see a lot of, so you think it's always old people, But when you hear a fucking tone so fucking loud on your ears, because I'm sat with in the seat, and suddenly the reverberation was coming through the seat, and then suddenly my vision just went blurry because the frequency must have changed and going between, well, like I say, you feel it between 20 and 90 hertz. So if you get 35 hertz, maybe just about correct, but you can mess around in your room with your sub bass speakers, and chances are you're only going to hear that on your ears. It depends on how that that magnet structure and everything else is connected with your room. You got to build a wooden frame. Most rooms probably got a wooden floor, but wooden beams go in certain direction. What direction? What way do the floor, the planks go in the room? All depends on all those factors, you know. And how where the base is traveling into and going around, maybe a little bit mechanical that's getting into the floorboarding, and the rest of it airborne, and where it's going around and building up into typical American homes are made of bloody plasterboard. Bloody hell, it's no wonder the homes fall down in earthquakes. You've not discovered bricks yet, have you, in America? Probably all the skyscrapers are built out of timber and plasterboard. It's no wonder they fall down. Oh, I know they're built out of concrete and steel. I'm not stupid. But you know what I mean. My room's partly brick and the ceiling's plasterboard. Well, and timber beams, joists above it. And then a roof. That's all pitched woodwork and with tiles on the outside. Oh, I think infinite baffle subs, I think is just a waste because that's just like you're just producing. So it's just an ego thing, but it's not like, you're getting something accurate. Whether I do it with putting little sub bass transducers, sub bass drivers on the floor, free air, and I feel a little bit of vibration. I think, well, that seems a little bit because if you haven't got any bass levels going on the floor, then someone says you're just feeling it in the seat with a bass shaker. I don't like it because I don't like this feel. There's something I've done wrong because in a vehicle, you're going to be sat in a seat, you're going to have the way the vibration travels in the vehicle and the suspension when the vehicle's in motion and the road surface and this sort of movement. Very subtle. You think it's going smooth, like going along the road, but it's doing very subtle if you observe it. You can notice all these little bumps and things, and then they're not like your sub bass that's doing this shit. It's doing that in a vehicle. You try doing that in a home cinema, home theatre. You try getting your system to do that on your bass. Otherwise, it's just doing this shit all the time, repeatedly. You got to figure that out. Maybe they should figure it out first on a dub stage to a cinema, you know. But you know what? Here we go again. Oh, it sounds like a gimmick. But we don't question reality. We don't question it. But, you know, oh dear. There's a few movies where I've noticed where it's got a kind of decent sound on the recording on the inside of the vehicle. But I haven't played the movie in years. It was called Happy Go Lucky, I think it was called Happy Go Lucky. It's where you got this disgruntled car instructor driver sort of thing, and I just yeah, I might put it on. I might put it on again just to see if there's anything else in the mixing that might have been put there. Because some people are directors. I hate the word directors. Um, some are kind of like aware of things, and others are, other directors they ain't. Because oh gosh, I just hate that word directors. There are some that know the chemistry of acting, and then there's others that just don't know about the chemistry of acting. Rubbish people like Michael Bay, bloody George Lucas, and God, Steven Spielberg. Fucking hell, they say they or they do these movies. It's not. Or James Cameron. It's not about the visual effects or sight. It's about the people. Oh, well, they're talking horse shit. Fucking hell. That you can only get on a dubbing stage, you can only get sound to do a certain thing in a certain area. And it's all this, that's why you go into a stupid cinema today and it's really now unnecessary fucking way fucking loud. And you think you take a step back and think, would that sound like that in reality? Would it? Fuck. No, it wouldn't. It'll be total opposite. It'll be you just hear it. It wouldn't be like all that bullshit that you fucking hear in the fucking movie. And it wouldn't be busting your fucking ears out. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Mm. I would say start with building a room that's built like a wooden frame, like a skeleton. And then you just gotta like figure it out and where the transduce, the bass drivers, how they got to be fitted, all customized into it, so that the magnet is against the wood and makes resonant noise frequency through it. It's only going to travel so far through it, and then it's going to dissipate. You got to figure out how many of those that you need to put, and you got to think like, could I put any additional matrix decodering on it so to give it kind of some steering effect? Otherwise, it's just going to be repeating the same signal. You got to figure all this out. But it still won't be accurate because it's got to be all done in a mix. And there's just not enough channels. Atmos says it's got what? 64 channels? 128 objects? Well, fucking hell, surely that should be enough, but obviously they're not delivering it now, particularly for the home. Much less probably the dubbing stage, probably because what they're hearing on the dubbing stage, they could see all that on their mixing console and shit, and their dub stage is designed very poorly. Well, they're only hired hands to work on that dub stage. They didn't fucking. But for the person that designed it, yeah, well, I'd go back to architectural school and do a little bit more learning because obvious it's fucking rubbish. There's a lot to it because you're just wasting amplifier power. You're paying it just to achieve a fucking ego fucking loudness, but you're not getting the mechanical vibration. A lot of that mechanical, and where depending on the scene, I think they should go back, take that fucking movie Speed, throw the original fucking soundtrack or at least parts of it in the fucking bin, and just redo it from scratch. Have voices moving around on, when the camera's looking forward, you got voices behind, because you see when the camera's moving around forward and backwards, you got people in the back seats and all that, they're all over the bus. Sometimes they're not saying a fuck all, they're just there, they're scared, oh, the bus is going to blow up. um Sometimes they're, but you hear all that fucking shit sound at the fucking front. You're not hearing it in the surrounds. Plus, if anyone's, where the camera is positioned and people are walking down the aisle, you should feel the footsteps. I hear that every fucking time I'm on a bus. That's when the bus comes to a stop, and you feel someone briefly. You hear the footstep. I hear the footsteps below me, and then I feel a very mild vibration in the flooring, and then it just goes off the bus, and then the bus, is still idling because of the engine vibration, and then the bus starts going back into motion again. Ah. See, I'm aware of all this, so I could play my system still with a little bit of this and that bass fill and all that, but I know it's inaccurate. I know I am cheating and fooling myself. I'm kidding myself. Shamelessly kidding myself. And maybe it's pissing off the neighbours, because they think, what the fuck's going on? But when you start walking around, you feel your own vibration. You see it in these fucking stupid movies, some stupid James fucking blonde Bond fucking load of crap movie, walking down a fucking corridor where, in that Skyfall crap overrated soundtrack mix Oscar crap, and he's walking down a fucking corridor. It doesn't sound like anything fucking like that in the fucking, the continuity, the sound mixing is shit. All this fucking modern day fucking sound, and you know what? That's all it is. And basically, all the speaker fucking layout that we have is still generally not being changed in fucking decades. You remember that fucking thing with George Lucas and his fucking THX, and they show the fucking trailer. A movie sound theatre systems hadn't changed much in 35 fucking years because they can only reproduce so much bass sound. Yeah, that's fucking hell. You go to fucking most cinemas today, they just fucking it's a different sort of loudness. Doesn't sound or fit. They're trying to make their it's like Odeon down fucking town. They try to make their fucking big fucking iSense screen fucking sound like a fucking THX at fucking High Wycombe. It's not even near or fucking close. It's just fucking earplugs in my ear because the sound system is shit. It's JBL, but it's just shit. Whoever tuned it and designed it into the system, it's shit with Atmos. But what I was hearing and feeling at High Wycombe, if I go back to arachnophobia, if you got that on Laserdisc, mm, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about because most of you out there haven't experienced it in an actual professional JBL THX cinema. It's a lot total different to that guy with his 20 sub bass. What's his name? Bloody on YouTube. 20 bloody sub bass, 150 dB. Really. High Wycombe was doing that bass or whatever the heck it was doing it a lot less, but safer. And I'll tell you, if it was a lot less than safer, whatever the heck it was, wow. Especially in the size of the auditorium. Because I've seen that movie only about a month before at the Odeon in screen number 6, what used to be screen number 2, big fucking ass fucking screen, but it got divided up into 5 screens. And then the original screen really did look like fucking VHS fucking letterbox because of the angle of the projection image had to be reduced and it looked fucking atrocious. The sound was average, you know. They even still used the same fucking surround speakers that they had in the large auditorium that once was, and just stuck them along the back wall and a few of them down the side wall. But the stage channel speakers were outdated from the probably the late 1960s, early 70s. At the time, that was, and I think years later they put in JBL speakers around about 99. Anyway, I saw Arachnophobia as a morning show premiere sort of thing, free ticket. Yeah, I liked it, blah, blah, blah. And then one day, I'm doing art and graphic design, back at school college thing to do art graphic design. I was just doing movie shit, on the parallel board and such with a THX logo. And there's someone that was also there who was about my age, I think. Oh no, actually, I think he was a few years younger than me. And he just suddenly walked by and he goes, "Oh, THX." Oh, what? And he starts doing all this shit. That meaning, because he happened to live at High Wycombe, but he moved down to Bournemouth, and he was going on and raving about the UCI at High Wycombe, and saying how it was voted the 8th best THX cinema on the planet. Yeah, I don't think that guy with his 20 sub bass speakers will get voted 8th best on the planet. That seems to be that's to remain because you got to have a sound system that doesn't produce any rattle, buzzing, or weird noises, and it's just producing the sound, what is on the soundtrack. That's what High Wycombe was doing. Fucking hell. But how? I seem to think it was Area 51 with George Lucas involved with some fucking other technology, or Bell Theatres, how they designed that system. Um, you know, wow. Wow. But it's exaggerated. Because if I listen to a real performance of an orchestra that's even playing outdoors, it's not going to reverberate too much or such, because there's no wooden floor. That we're standing on ground or grass or something outdoors. Um, Unless, of course, it was a whole wooden platform that extends all the way up to the stage, and you would feel some occasional vibration going through it. Um, Otherwise, you just hear it in the airborne sort of thing. But it's not enough energy there, particularly on the outside. And then, you play it up louder and louder, and anyone too close to it, it doesn't sound right. It's just inaccurate. It's just stupid rock musicians and their fucking ego, for a stupid ego fucking fan crowd. Fucking yelling and fucking screaming, jumping around. How the fuck are they supposed to fucking listen to that shit if they're yelling and screaming? You go to a concert, they just sit there and listen. And yet, here's the other funny thing: the stupid fans that go to these stupid concerts, yeah, jumping around, yelling, on fucking drugs. When they're listening at home, are they jumping around and yelling and screaming? Oh, they fuck. They're just sat there fucking listening to it with it turned fucking up way fucking loud to do more fucking perforation to their fucking ears. And sipping beer and getting dehydrated. That's the worst fucking thing you could drink is beer. It just fucking dehydrate you. And doing drugs and sticking needles in your arms. Oh, fuck's sakes. Ugh. Ugh. Yeah. See, even when I fart, where do I feel it? Below me slightly. My buttocks moving slightly. But when you hear it in a fucking movie, and you hear it, feel it, or maybe a Klingon fucking belching, and the fucking whole auditorium fucking reverberates, and then the audience fucking burst out laughing in a THX cinema. That's exaggerated, isn't it? It's like, I don't really particularly want to be in the bowels or whatever of a fucking Klingon, you know? And when the Klingon, the other Klingon warrior in Star Trek 5, does the warrior sort of thing, bush against his chest, yeah, I feel that. 20 meters away from the screen. 20 fucking meters. I feel it in my chest. Like, that's a bit exaggerated, but it's also like, how the fuck did they do that? But, it's like they got the George Lucas, Tom Holman, Invisible fucking men, yeah, going around the fucking auditorium and touching the fucking audience, and you think, what the fuck? Where's that coming from? Oh, but just because you go a few year, 20, something like 26 years forward, almost about 26, because THX sort of frizzled out more or less early 2000s now. It changed over, it went from what it once was in the house, and then it went private, and then it just changed. Then it went over to another handshake someone else taking it over and then just probably taking it from once was there and then just taking it down, down, and down. THX now today, it's probably more like a skeleton crew. Hardly like what it once was. Uh, yeah, it had a performance standard years ago, but now it's just gone. And all the cinemas now, just because they're digital does not necessarily mean it's better sound quality. And you could get a speaker to do all sorts of sort of resonant things, and bass shakers you could get them to all do all sort of resonant different, different how they're attached to different materials, and they're going to do different sort of things. um because the bass shaker will eventually make mechanical noises. You hold it free air, or you can suspend the bass shaker. You know, um, I don't care how you do it. You can suspend it on string or something, yeah, and then put bass sine wave tones through it until a point where you hear some mechanical noise and you think, I wonder what's going on there. And you're monitoring the voltage on a voltmeter. And you think or you could get one of those watt meters as well. Some of those watt meters are not cheap. As a voltmeter, that is. But you could find a calculator to do the conversion, and it would tell you roughly the average conversion. But mostly, sometimes, some speakers say, they're designed for a 1 watt at 2 point something volt at 1 meter distance. Or usually it's 1 watt at 1 meter. So, so you could do a conversion. Then you notice, but why is it making this? You think, is it a flaw in the speaker? So you add another one of the same and just check that one just to see if it is maybe a mechanical flaw in the design. If it does that again, and you think that's generally a flaw in the whole design. And you test all other bass shakers, and then some of them are going to be cheaper, some of them are going to be a little bit more pricier, and you think, you know, you got to test, and then how it gets coupled and fitted to whatever surface, how it's designed. Because bass shakers, their piston movement or voice coil movement can only go so far, and then you got to look at how, maybe say, like how a bus engine, but the vibration, and maybe the mechanicals of the engine that are moving, there's a lot, they only move, a single one would only move so much, and then you got lots of them that are doing all that what's it thing inside within the engine. And then you work out the calculation of like the, the piston thing or the voice coil movement on a bass shaker. And then you just got to add another and another and another to sort of, like, you guesstimate, if I added so many, it would probably be like a piston movement that's going from like that to something like that. Just like you add bass speakers, and you want to go down infrasonic, but you don't want any harmonic frequencies popping up on the bloody RTA. So you just got to keep adding and adding and adding and adding, and then the other part of bass frequencies are going to get a bit too much, and then you got to maybe put a filter on it and bring that level down, so that the infrasonic is just kind of there, but it's going to be exaggerated. You got to, it's trial and error. And it's got to be something that everybody can use, and everybody that could say, yeah, I agree, but not every home is going to be designed the same. You know, it's looking at all the materials could be that are cheap, affordable, not too stupid. None of this stupid rich millionaire snobbiness, like snobby Texan people living in Texas with their stupid home theaters, greedy rich people that don't really give a shit about any of this. They just want it just to show off. You want to fucking design something so it's gonna be like, and then you just say these are the materials, and these are all the other materials gone through. These are the cheaper ones. These do and all the properties, how they react, and so forth. Do you build it with a steel frame all around, wooden frame? You got to think, but still, it's going to be hollow pipe. It's going to be hollow pipes or something, and such, hollow in the middle, and it's going to resonate. And if you tap on it, it's going to make a ringing sound. And you got to think like, well, you got to minimize that. You got to maybe put something inside it and then tap on it so it goes donk, not dong, donk. So you got to, work out all that. That's why I put a little bit of absorbent material inside my cinema seats, because when I put the bash transducers attached either on the inside or on the outside of the seat bucket, but what I was noticing, there was some sort of ringing sound, and when I tap on it, I can hear how the seat sounded. Then I put some absorbent material on the inside of the seat bucket, tapped on it again, it made a slightly different sound. And I thought, that's about as good as I could get it. But still, they're not perfect, the cinema seats with the bass shaker transducers. They're not perfect. And when you got you're playing. I saw one guy that's deaf on YouTube, and he's got bass shakers. He uses subtitles on his screen, but he had some understanding about setting it up, but his seat was or sofa was making too much rattling noise. My seats will do the same thing because they're partly made of metal, wood, and they're going to make a rattling sound, and plastic as well. So they're going to make some rattling or resonant noises at a certain point, just the same as going on a bus and the engine at some point, depending on the angle of the road and all that, it makes a resonant rattling noise. If the vehicle was suspended in the garage, raised up on something and then done testing, it's going to be a different sound. It'll still make vibration, but it'd be totally opposite. When it's put on the ground, it's going to make a different signature sound. Same when you go on these stupid fucking movies. You're on a fucking airplane. Does it sound or feel like you're on a fucking 747? Not that I have. I've been on a DC. Been on what aircraft have I been on? I don't know what the prop one was. That was back in the mid 1980s. It was a prop type airplane. It was only going from UK over to Mediterranean. And then the other one was a jet airline. That was Pan Am. Pan Am no longer exists. They went bust in the years later. They thought they were going to go to the moon, but obviously not. What was it? DC? Is it DC-9 or DC-10? I don't know. No, it's a DC-10. That's it, DC-10. That was Heathrow to Miami International, and then from Miami International to Orlando International on a DC-9. And then coming back, it was Miami to Heathrow, and that was on a DC-10 again. Hmm. Yeah, and that air pressure when you're going up, you feel your ear, the pressure pressing your eardrum in. You do that to push your eardrum out. You don't get that on fucking movies. Yeah, that's really disappointing now, isn't it? Yeah, they just haven't got enough bass energy, I guess, on those soundtracks. They do all this other stupid bass that seems inaccurate, but yeah, you don't get that pressure on your ear sort of thing, you know. Uh, Because I think you would get that even if you were say like it's the abyss. They're acting it like they're getting pressure because it's just a chamber, isn't it? So it's filling with air. It's air filling with air pressure. But what is I've not done the research on that. What is the frequency of that with that air pressure, or is it just air? PSI, pounds per square inch. But is it or could it be a frequency? I could put headphones on, mess around and play with sine wave tones very carefully. But would it make me pinch my nose? And if it doesn't, then it's probably going to be a total waste of fucking time with maybe a sub bass speaker. Although I wouldn't stop there, I would try with the not the speaker directly, but with the pressure that builds up inside the box and going out through a port. Where would those ports, or maybe put a port near me and do it at very safe SPL levels? And if it doesn't give me any sort of like pinching my nose sort of thing, then it's just not going to be there. I can't get real, because my room would have to be totally sealed so it doesn't vent, and then I can pump it up with air pressure. Um, Maybe that's how it should be done. So at a certain point in the movie, The Abyss, you got the room that's sealed, and it's not going to vent, and then you suddenly, at the right time, and then you pump it up with air pressure. So everyone starts doing this shit, and maybe on an aeroplane. In those stupid but these fucking stupid movies, fucking hell, they don't even have enough time, to, the editing is crap. And so you're going to put shit sound editing and sound mix into it just for a few seconds. What the fucking point of that is? What is the fucking point? It's like a fucking trailer that you see in these stupid fucking movies. Do they fucking pinch their noses and shit when they get on an X-wing fighter or the fucking stupid aluminum fucking Falcon? Because that fucking thing would have to be pressurized now, wouldn't it? Think about it. Are they pinching their fucking noses and shit just, for a brief moment because it's equalizing? Oh dear. Oh. Mm. Oh. Uh, yeah. Anyway, that's enough fucking ranting. Go and play your fucking own theatres and be disappointed, and maybe do a home theatre that's a little bit unique. Do something out there that can at least impress me, because for 90% of all the crappy home theatres I've seen, including mine, um, because there's only a certain. I've got a budget. I could put, for what I want to do, and then you just work out the materials and the cost of the materials, and then it's just getting someone to come round and build it. And it's not just that, it's someone that's got to come round has also got to understand how sound it works and all that. And to find someone like that is going to be very few and far between, because got to work as a team. Because I need to say, I got to test this. Even while you're building it, I got to test it, or building a prototype and testing it, and then going into full build, because you got to see what materials and how they work with the speakers, with the transducers. Otherwise, if something doesn't work right, you got to tear it all down, but you can't. It's all built. It's going to be a pain in the ass to tear it down and figure out what went wrong. That's why they did that shit with the space shuttle. I don't give a shit about the space shuttle. That's why the fucking thing blew up. Because management were rushing because of their fucking ego, and they would just look stupid. Who cares? That's a very technical mechanical machine. And you got human life on it that can't be replaced. If the fucking thing blows up and the crew managed to get away from it without a scratch, so what? It's just a piece of immaterial machinery that could be replaced. They could build it again and again and again. But no, they just rush it and kill the crew. And then try to feel like they feel guilty and bloody remorseful for bloody rushing it and killing their crew. And then they kill their fucking crew a second time. Without fucking hell. They got all this shit, all this fucking NASA shit. What, don't they have any EVA bloody spacesuits on that bloody Columbia? So they could do a fucking EVA on the outside, and then they see that there's a fucking hole in the fucking wing, and they think, well, there's no fucking way we can fix that in zero gravity. Fuck, we're gonna have to go down on the ISS, get onto the fucking escape pods, and come down that way, or wait for another shuttle mission to come up and bring the crew back. So you go up with a 2-man crew on the next shuttle, because there's 7 to bring back down, and they just find another way to put a seat in securely, or an extra few seats, so they can bring the crew down safely. Do they fuck? They rush it. They knew something and they just kill the fucking crew a second time. What are they fucking? Now, what is NASA? Murderers? That's what they are. That's why you got to be stupid to go on the bloody thing. That's why engineers they're trembling and biting their fucking fingernails. They wouldn't want to go on it because they know the odds that that thing could explode on the launch pad. Boom! Explode in flight. Boom! Or it doesn't land and it crashes. Boom! Mm. Getting up there is not easy. One astronaut said that, and it's true. Getting up there is not easy. 8.5 minutes is a rough ride. And then you're coming back down, and that's a rough ride. That's like going on a roller coaster shit that does a vertical drop, and then it fucks up, doesn't it? It doesn't do the fuck. Oh, you gotta be fuck. What the fuck did I go on that roller coaster? Fucking you? Was I out of my fucking mind? I never liked the fucking things, and just to satisfy my fucking friends. I didn't fucking like it. And then you hear about, oh, did you hear about the fuck, because you're going around the theme park that day and shit. And did you hear about the other roller coaster? It fucked up. And they're stuck at this angle for so many minutes until they can figure out how to let it go, and boom. I'd be shitting myself, wouldn't you? Actually, going on a roller coaster, when you got your eyes open and everything, and you could see it, um, that's probably it puts an alert into your mind. You know, you go on these other roller coasters where um, it's indoors, like Space Mountain. That's not particularly high. It's still relatively high off the ground, and anything can go wrong. But when you're going around on it, you got no reference of the ground. You can't see the ground below you. It's all dark, and they got all these optical effects with look like meteors coming at you and all that shit, and um, projected images. So you got no reference point of how high off the ground you are. So it seems, oh wow, exciting. You go on other roller coasters at theme parks, and they're relatively low to the ground, but they're going still pretty fast. Um, hmm. Yeah, I have to say my tinnitus in my ears at this present moment. I think the other day it was kind of like that sort of level. Very hardly notice it today. The other day it was about maybe about that. At present, it seems like it's about that level. Both sides. It's probably maybe what I've eaten, what I drink in, or maybe it's just me just generally talking, and tinnitus just is a thing that just has a characteristic sort of thing where it just wants to happen as and when it pleases. If I get some sleep, if I turn off now and get some sleep, I'll get into a deep sleep mode. That sounds like that will suddenly go like that because I'll be switched off and I wouldn't notice it. And it seems to have a swirling effect because it's pitching on my inner ears up and down sort of thing. And so it seems like it's making a kind of circle effect, but it's not. It's just on left and right and going to my noodle and it's just pitching up and down sort of thing. And, between it's audible, or is it? Well, it is audible because it's sound, but you can't put a microphone down your ear canal and measure it because it's in the inner ear, which is, you can't get to really realistically. And so it's transmitting through the what's its and going to our noodles, and you hear it just as if a microphone, say, for example, was broken or faulty and it's producing a noise on the RTA analyzer, and you think, what's going on? Is it the XLR cable loose or something? And you check the cables, they're okay. You check it with a voltmeter to see the continuity is okay. And then you think, well, it's got to be something with the electronics on the microphone that have failed or something. Generally, maybe the microphone itself capsule might be a-okay. It could be some of the electronics that failed. That's okay. You don't buy these stupidly overpriced ones, but, generally, you know, um, yeah, I think I've got one microphone. I don't know which, yeah, can't remember, but it's in a box somewhere, so it's not used because it's got a bit of a fault on it, which I know is internally inside the microphone. Probably the way when it was designed or built, maybe the soldering or something was done inaccurately. Yeah, Mm, mm. All right, I'm out.